Hi everyone and welcome back to my cute little channel. It's Albaneraa. I have changed location for the videos because I was thinking about the fact that I wanted to shoot the videos for my YouTube channel in a place that is like more intimate with my creativity. So this is like my living room, and I hope like this is the best place for the light and everything. That's literally where I read, where I paint. It's just like a safe space for me. So I hope you're gonna like it. For those who don't know, I speak 3 languages fluently every day. Not because I'm crazy, but because I work in English. I am Italian, but all my friends are Latinos. So I have to speak Spanish with them. And right now, I'm also trying to learn in Japanese and Portuguese because I want to complicate my life, I think. And I really love to challenge myself. So I've always been obsessed with languages. The first year in high school, in fact, I did choose languages, but then I switched to art high school. But it remains like a passion that I did on my own. But I've only been obsessed with languages not in the sense of vocabulary or grammar, but everything that comes with them, the people, the cultures, the way they completely change the way you see the world. And something funny happened when I was thinking about to shoot this video. I realized I don't really date Italian people. Almost everyone I liked, dated, or had a situationship with has been bilingual or from another culture. And my friends literally make fun of me for this reason. Because somehow I always ended up attached to someone who was at least one flight away, or maybe two, or maybe three. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Turns out maybe it isn't. So, today I want to talk about something I've been thinking about for years. How speaking different languages completely changed the way I experience love, dating, and even myself. Why I've been always been attracted to multilingual people. I don't think I've ever been attracted only to the person. I've always been attracted to the world they come from. Maybe that's why I never really looked for someone who's exactly like me. I've always been fascinated by differences, different accents, different traditions, different way of expressing emotions, different way of growing up. Every person from another culture feels like opening a book you've never read before, and I've always loved books. I think learning languages became a way for me to escaping my reality. When I was younger, every new language felt like opening a tiny door for another life. I'd imagine living somewhere else, meeting different people, creating a completely different version of myself. So when I meet someone from another culture, I don't just get curious about them. I became curious about their universe. How do they celebrate birthdays? What food reminds them of home? What songs did their parents play in the car? What words make them feel loved? I think that's probably the most attractive thing in the world to me. Not perfection, curiosity. Part 2. Every language creates a different version of yourself. If you watch my video about speaking 4 languages at 22 years old, you've probably heard me say this before. I generally believe I'm slightly different in every language. And no, I don't mean fake, just different sides of the same person. English is probably the language where I sound the most serious. I actually learning English while working, so I naturally become more professional when I speak it. It's the language where I analyze everything. I journal in English, feeling situation, my own brain. I can literally overthink in HD with English. Spanish, on the other hand, Spanish is chaos. I learned so much of it through dating, talking to people, listening to reggaeton, bachata, dembow, salsa. So I naturally picked up expressions that made me much more playful, I think. I'm louder, more expressive, more dramatic, which honestly isn't helping the Italian stereotype. And I also think Spanish is such an emotional language. There are so many beautiful ways of describing love, longing, missing someone. No wonder almost every song sounds like someone is either falling in love or crying at night at 2 a.m. Honestly, if I had to flirt, I'm choosing Spanish in every lifetime. It just flows. Everything sounds smooth. Meanwhile, in English, I seem disconnected from what I'm saying. I seem very cold and distant. Every time that I date someone in English, they always tell me, like, you seem so distant, so detached, you seem so cold. Meanwhile, in Spanish, I'm like very coqueta. But that's what's beautiful. Every language gives me access to a different side of myself, not because I'm pretending, because language changes the way we think. Part 3: The little words that don't translate. There are some words that simply lose their magic when you translate them, and I realized that while dating. My first boyfriend was half Italian, half Latin, and he used to call me gordita. Now, if you translate that literally, it's not that cute. In Spanish, it's one of those affectionate words that you use like nicknames that somehow sounds incredibly cute. And that's what fascinates me. The same word can carry completely different emotions depending on the language. Even I love you. For me, I love you doesn't hit the same way as te amo. And te amo doesn't hit the same way as ti amo, that's Italian. It's not because one language is more romantic than another one. It's because every language carries different memories, different movies, different songs, different people, different experiences. Bad Bunny has a lyric that says, no sé si un te amo vale lo mismo cuando es en inglés. And every single time I hear it, I completely understand what he means. It's not really about translation, it's about emotional weight. The same thing happens with little nicknames. Mi reina, mi amor, gatita, princesa. If someone called me little kitty in English, I would die from cringe. But somehow, gatita, cute, makes perfect sense. Languages are weird, and I love them for that. Nowadays, I mix Italian, English, and Spanish constantly. Sometimes I teach random Spanish words to my crush because my brain forgets that not everyone lives inside my multilingual chaos. And honestly, my dream relationship would probably be with someone that can speak English and Spanish because those two languages bring out completely different parts of who I am. Part 4: Falling in love with someone's culture. Most of the people I've dated have been from Latin America backgrounds. So I naturally have learned a lot about that culture and I absolutely love it. One thing that always makes me laugh is that my mom actually raised me listening to salsa and bachata because she used to teach dance. She grew me up listening to all salsa vieja, como Me Emborracharé, Frankie Ruiz, Eddie Santiago. Me bautizó con sazón la nena desde el nacimiento. ¿Qué tengo que hacer? So somehow, before I even spoke Spanish, I already knew of the songs, which is honestly the funniest plot twist ever. Maybe that's one of the reasons I connect so easily with Latin people. It already felt strangely familiar. But what I love the most isn't the music, I mean, also, but it's the warmth. The way people make you feel like family before you even had the time to feel awkward. The way they invite you to eat. The way they celebrate. The way emotions aren't something to hide. And yes, also the food definitely deserve its own category. At this point, I could probably cook patacones with my eyes closed. I love arepas, empanadas, ropa vieja. Actually, let's stop talking about the food because I'm getting angry. But jokes aside, one of the most intimate thing about dating someone from another culture isn't learning the language. It's watching them slowly invite you into their world. You start learning family traditions, holiday celebrations, inside jokes, music, films, childhood memories, and suddenly you realize there isn't just one way of growing up. There are thousands. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about love. When someone trusts you enough to show you where they come from, they're not just teaching you a language, they're teaching you themselves. Part 5. Misunderstandings are hilarious. Of course, dating in different languages isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's just embarrassing. I cannot even count how many times when I was learning Spanish, I mixed everything with Italian and I created like a new language that it was a mix of both. And the funny thing is, Italian isn't even my strongest language, and I'm gonna say why. Which I know sounds incredibly ridiculous considering I was born in Italy, but I grew up in Sardinia, and Sardinian isn't an Italian dialect. It's literally a whole language. So sometimes, even without realizing it, I translate expressions from Sardinia into Italian. And then Italian people just stare at me like, what are you saying? I only realized how much Sardinian lived inside my brain when I moved into Milan. After moving to Milan, there are so many words I thought were perfectly normal Italian. Turns out they absolutely weren't. And then you add English and Spanish to the mix, my brain is basically running 4 tables at a time. And sometimes they all crush together. And let's not even talk about false friends. Words that sound identical but mean completely different things. Or jokes, because humor is one of the hardest things to translate. In fact, when I make jokes in English, I always think, this person is never going to know how funny I am in my native language. I can tell the funniest joke I've ever heard, silence. Because the reference maybe only exists in your country. So then you laugh alone, which somehow makes it even more funnier. Luckily, my algorithm has become a completely cultural mess. Italian memes, Latin American memes, British humor, American TikToks, football edits. For some reason, right now, my entire For You page is literally Haaland and Bellingham memes. Don't ask me why. Mixed at Marcelo Hernandez comedy. I don't even question it anymore. I've accepted my fate. 6. The hardest part nobody talks about. But there are also parts that people don't really talk about. Everyone romanticizes international relationships. Nobody talks about what happens when you're arguing, trying to explain complicated feelings in another language while you're already emotional is one of the hardest things ever. Sometimes you know exactly what you want to say, you just don't know the words. And somehow that makes the frustration even bigger. Or does evening when you're literally exhausted. You're lying next to someone, to your partner, and you don't want to think, you don't want to translate. You just want to exist in your own language for a while. I think people underestimate how tiring it can be sometimes. Another thing that scared me a little was meeting families. Every family already has their own traditions. Now, imagine walking into a house, and I'm telling this because it happened to me, where everyone speaks faster than your brain can process. Everyone is laughing. You're trying to understand, you're trying to be respectful, trying not to ask every single time, can you repeat this, please? It's intimidating. It's not for the weak. But not because people aren't kind, but because, of course, you want to make a cool impression of their family and you want them to like you. You want to understand them. And sometimes that's scary. Part 7, the green flags. Do you know what is the biggest green flag for me? Effort. Not perfection, effort. One of the last people I had a crush on was German. I hope he's not seeing this video. But we spoke in English. So imagine, think about it for a second. Two people trying to build a connection in a language that belong to neither one of them. That's kind of beautiful though. And because I naturally speak Spanish all the time with my friends, I actually downloaded Duolingo to start learning Spanish. That is not sponsored, by the way, but Duolingo, you know where to find me. But honestly, it wasn't about becoming fluent. It wasn't even about Spanish. It was about the fact that he wanted to understand me. And he wanted to understand another part of me. And I think that's incredibly attractive. Meanwhile, I find myself spending afternoon on the beach giving him free Spanish lessons. And now, thanks to him, I know a few German songs, couple of German swear words, which I'm not gonna say on my YouTube channel. I think the most beautiful thing is celebrating your differences and learn from them. Part 8. The most romantic thing isn't the language. People always ask me if I wanted a partner who speaks a lot of languages. Honestly, not really. The most romantic thing isn't speak like 5 languages. It's wanting to share yours. When someone teaches you the words that I grew up with, when they explain expressions that doesn't exist anywhere else, when they tell you, this is what my grandma used to say to me, that's intimacy. They're not teaching you vocabulary. They're giving you access to memories, to childhood, to home. For me, one of the most intimate things I could ever do is take someone to Sardinia, and I've only did that once to show them where I grew up. The beaches, the little streets, the place that made me who I am. Because when you show someone where your story began, you trust in them with something much bigger than a language. Part 9, my dream relationship. I don't need someone who speaks 10 languages, as I was saying. I don't care how many flags you have into Duolingo profile. I just want someone who is curious. I'm a very curious person, like in general about everything. I want to knowledge be my goal in life. Someone who's excited to teach me about their word and equally to discover mine. I'd love to travel together, to visit the place they call home, to meet the people that make them who they are. I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about love. You don't just fall in love with one person, you slowly fall in love with everything that created them. And I have to admit something. Hearing someone speak their native language, especially when I don't understand a single word, is weirdly attractive. I feel like in hated rivalry scene. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because you're seeing a version of them that existed long before you arrived. And that's beautiful. Part 10. Can you really know someone without speaking their native language? This is probably the question people ask me more. Can you truly know someone if you don't speak their native language? And honestly, I don't think that's a correct answer. Part of me believes that every soul speaks most naturally in its first language. There are memories, jokes, dreams, words that simply live there. But I also think something magical happens when someone chooses to love you in another language because they're making an effort. They're translating their heart the best way they can. And maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need to understand every single word. Maybe you need to understand the person. I've always felt that every new language expands me a little. Not because I become smarter, but because I gain another way of saying the word, another way of describing love, another way of understanding people. It's almost like every language gives you another shelf in your emotional library. Suddenly, there are words that didn't exist yesterday, feelings that finally have a name, like saudade in Portuguese. There is like nostalgic, sentimental feeling, but also like bittersweet. And ideas that are impossible to explain in another language. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts knowledge can give us. Nobody can buy it for you. Nobody can learn it instead of you. Every language you know exists because you spent hours making mistakes, feeling embarrassed, practicing, starting again, and every single one of those hours becomes a part of who you are. So if you're watching this and you've always wanted to learn another language, do it. Not because it's more impressive, not because it looked good on your curriculum, but because maybe you'll discover a version of yourself that only exists in that language. And honestly, I think it's one of the most beautiful adventures you can have. So this is like the end of the video. I'm so sorry, I swear, for the light. I didn't talk about the sun, and like with the cap I'm not lighting so good, but I wanted to try a new location, so a win is a win. And I really want your opinion. If you speak more than one language, do you also feel like you're slightly different in every language? Or have you ever dated a person from another culture? I think in these days are very easy to date, like people from another culture. I don't know. I love to do that. And I generally love to read your stories, and I don't know if you have any suggestions or any thought about this video. I would love to know your opinion because I think everyone experiences are different.